This week we're on the banks of Steveston's Cannery Channel, visiting the Brittania Heritage Shipyard project, where a dedicated group of workers is preserving this important landmark in the history of salmon fishing on the West Coast. Good evening and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. Since last June, restoration of the cannery and the shipyards has been underway, and we'll show you the work in progress throughout our program. Our movie this week is the 1940 Sam Goldwyn production, The Westerner. It stars Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan. It's the last film that producer Sam Goldwyn made for United Artists. In fact, Goldwyn was so unhappy with UA that he tried to release his film through Warner Brothers and Paramount. But when United Artists threatened to sue Goldwyn, he relinquished and allowed UA to release his $1 million movie. And it became another solid gold Sam Goldwyn hit. Here's Act One of The Westerner, starring Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan. This week we're visiting the Brittania Heritage Shipyard project on Steveston's Cannery Channel. The cannery was built between 1889 and 90 and expanded to include a shipyard to service the boats of the cannery. That happened in 1919. Today, in partnership with the City of Richmond, the Brittania Shipyard Society is working to restore the buildings and open a waterfront park. Among the many artifacts being gathered for the restoration are a large number of antique woodworking implements. The Brittania Shipyard will have a major focus on wooden boats like this authentic 1920s flat-bottom skiff, and they plan to have work on small craft underway at all times for visitors to admire. And when the restoration is complete, a lot of hands-on activities will be offered. We'll be back with more in just a moment. This 38-foot fish packer, donated by a Richmond area fishing family, exemplifies the type of vessel to which the Brittania Heritage Shipyard is dedicated. Since last summer, over 1,000 visitors, some from as far away as Tennessee and California, have come to enjoy the sights and sounds of the Brittania Heritage Shipyard. Now, guided tours can be arranged. Here's what you do. Contact Lana Lee Merriweather, Director of Promotions, at 241-9453. And now let's get back to The Westerner, starring Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan. We're at the Brittania Heritage Shipyard project in Steveston this week on Red's Classic Theater. Although Gary Cooper received top billing for tonight's film, it was definitely Walter Brennan's movie all the way, so much so that he won an Oscar for his performance. When Cooper first read the script for The Westerner, he was convinced that the small role in this picture was not for him, and he conveyed his feelings to the film's director, William Wyler. Wyler scolded Cooper for his attitude, telling him that he should put himself into the role and give it his best shot. Well, that's exactly what Gary Cooper did, and he apologized to director Wyler for his poor attitude. Well, evidently, Walter Brennan didn't know about this situation because he and Gary Cooper went on to act together in 3 films. They included Sergeant York and Meet John Doe in 1941 and Pride of the Yankees in 1942. Now let's return to The Westerner, starring Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan. We're at the Brittania Heritage Shipyard in Steveston this week on Red's Classic Theater, and time to look at our mailbag. And current requests include Lori Walker from Vancouver, who wrote in to see Waterloo Bridge, starring Vivian Lee and Robert Taylor. And Debbie Brady from Burlington, Washington. Boy, did I get a wrong number. This starred Bob Hope and Elkie Sommer. And Jan Warburton from Shawnigan Lake requested The Slipper in the Rose, starring Richard Chamberlain and Gemma Craven. An unidentified viewer called in to request Tugboat Annie, starring Marie Dressler and Wallace Beery. Now, if there's a movie you'd like to see or a suggestion of a location, write to Red Robinson KVUS-TV in Vancouver. That's Red Robinson KVUS-TV in Vancouver. Next week on Red's Classic Theater, Gary Cooper returns, this time with Barbara Stanwyck in the 1941 Billy Wilder comedy, Ball of Fire. And 2 weeks from tonight, it's Army Adventure in the Sudan with the Four Feathers, a 1939 British film starring Ralph Richardson. And now, let's get back to The Westerner. We're in Steveston this week visiting the Brittania Heritage Shipyard project. Besides Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan, you'll recognize a lot of familiar faces in tonight's film. An example, actor Forrest Tucker made his screen debut in The Westerner. Now, in his career, he played villains and tough guys. He charged up the sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne, and he even took on musical comedy. But he's probably best remembered as Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke on F Troop. Dana Andrews is another actor whose career began in tonight's film. He drew rave reviews for his work in the Oxbow incident and also appeared in Laura, A Walk in the Sun, and The Best Years of Our Lives. Character actor Chill Wills is also in the cast of The Westerner. After a career in tent shows and vaudeville, he made the move to the big screen and appeared in several westerns, including Rio Grande with John Wayne. His best role came in another picture with the Duke, The Alamo, in 1960, when he was nominated for an Oscar as Best Supporting Actor. And now let's get back to all the characters and Gary Cooper and Walter Brennan in The Westerner. We're at the Brittania Heritage Shipyard Project in Steveston for this week's edition of Red's Classic Theater, and it's time for our movie trivia quiz. With his Academy Award for his performance in The Westerner, Walter Brennan established an Oscar record for supporting actors. What was it? We'll be back with the answer in just a moment. Here's the answer to our movie trivia quiz. Walter Brennan's Oscar for his performance in The Westerner was his third within the space of 5 years, something no other actor has ever achieved. Brennan's other Oscars were awarded for his performance in Come and Get It in 1936 and Kentucky in 1938. And now let's get back to The Westerner, co-starring Walter Brennan. Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Red's Classic Theater. Hope you enjoyed Walter Brennan and Gary Cooper in The Westerner. Join us next Sunday night on Red's Classic Theater. Gary Cooper returns with Barbara Stanwyck in the 1941 Sam Goldwyn production, Ball of Fire. In the meantime, if there's a movie you'd like to see or a suggestion of a location, write to me, Red Robinson, in care of KVOS TV in Vancouver. And we'd like to thank the Brittania Heritage Shipyard Society for hosting us this week. Remember, guided tours are available. Call 241-9453. That's 241-9453. And join us next Sunday night for Barbara Stanwyck and Gary Cooper in Ball of Fire. Until then, smooth sailing and good night, everybody.